Oops, wrong button. I'm horribly late with the beer!
Kanpai!
Kanpai!
What did you not say?
I said I'm horribly late with the beer, but I'm...
This is why we can't have nice things now. Right, so, welcome, weebs. We're episode 79 of Kanpai Cast, and it's a little bit of a late one. We are talking about Winter 2023, the season review. So first on, going on to the housekeeping. A submersible research vessel studying lichen, okay. Took Long, an author, to catalog the journey. In other words, he was a lichen subscribe.
Hey.
We're horrible people. Thank you, Nasuth.
You're welcome.
If my pain wasn't enough to warrant a like, comment, and subscribe, I don't know what does. But anyway, so moving straight on into the topic itself, we are here to do the Winter 2023 season review. A little bit of a highlight. Nier Automata, The Misfit of Demon King Academy Season 2, and Bofree, I Don't Want to Get Hurt, so I'll max out my defense, have not finished, right? I was very annoyed at Bofree because there was no breaks. It started late, and now freaking God knows when the last two episodes, I think, yeah, so God knows when those episodes are coming out.
Did we drop any since the 6th episode review? I don't think we have.
Oh, quite possibly, but I think we individually are still covering them.
Oh, yeah, that's possible. Yeah.
So, and yes, so I will start because
you might as well.
Too many. I might as well. So the first thing I'm going to talk about, as I try to find it, is I don't think I have actually spoken about it yet. I'm going to get to talk about Handyman Saitou in Another World. Right?
Oh, nice.
I think this is the first time I'm actually getting to talk about it. And I very much enjoyed the series. The pacing was fantastic and all that. I'm going to give this a... I kind of feel a must-watch.
You better pick right, yeah. Just because I didn't finish it doesn't mean it's not a must-watch. It's just that
No. But I also have to consider, is this something that anyone could pick up? And I think realistically, the answer is yes. Anyone could really pick up Handyman Saitou. Because you're also exploring the world with him. You're getting introduced to the world as he is getting introduced to it. Because, and you see him there in, like, his overalls, trying to just get on with his life, his daily life and things, and he can't do magic, so he thinks out of the box with a lot of the problems. Like, even though he can't do magic, he memorizes the spells to help the
forgetful wizard.
Is it
it's the sage who forgets everything.
It's something with an M. Starts with an M.
Oh, Moloch. No.
Morlock.
Oh,
okay.
It's
sorry.
What was the?
Oh,
it's not Alzheimer's. It's dementia.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's the word I was looking for.
But
anyway,
it's not
we
really
find
dementia.
the source of it. So
Yeah.
So it has a lot of world exploration. It's really well developed. A lot of the characters. It actually explains a lot of relationships and everything that are like kind of, you don't realize they're there for the longest time. However, it does a phenomenal job in the way it delivers the story, because it's very much in the vein of a 4-panel comic that has this overarching plot, but does a fantastic job of segmenting it at just the right place. They knew how to pace this well, and that is one of the strongest perks for it. The animation is fantastic. Yeah, go on.
Yeah, for people that aren't really used to the 4-panel comic idea, it does go into the longer form thing in some of the episodes. So they'll have a series of 3 or 4 episodes on a single instance. But then it goes back to more like half episodic content. You know,
let's say you're reading Garfield, and there's an arc in it about him having to go rescue Nermal or something that lasts for, I don't know, like
I've got a few weeks at least.
Yeah, a couple. Yeah, exactly. It's that sort of thing.
Yeah. So it really, really works well to its advantage. The level of humor in it can be quite crude at times, but again, it works well. It works really, really well.
Come on, dogs eating dinglings.
Well, my favorite is the fact that the unit of measure is a dingling.
Yes.
You know, it's just like, it's just like
And Riel's face, that recurring joke of Saitou saying, "Well, I'm only half of one of those," and half of that measurement, and Riel's are going, half of one of those, and getting really embarrassed whenever it comes up.
So
I think also the fact that he's not an overpowered main character. The power in this group comes from the fact that he helps bring them together and make them work together as a team. That makes such a difference in terms of like my enjoyment of one of these types of shows.
I was so pleased because it's the short form storytelling somehow manages to convey so much more emotion than many shows manage to get into their whole series. So you get to know these side characters far better from just a few short interactions than if we spent most of the series on them in some other shows. So other shows would, because they could draw out those interactions and spread them out, they don't bother putting as much character into their first impressions. So we find an elf that can't use magic and so fights, and her best friend is a healer who seems to have unlocked this particular kind of fetish about healing because it gets her to see her beautiful elven friend a bit cut up. And you realise they're not all good people. The humour can be crude and it can take you to some weird, interesting places mentally. But there's so much in such a small, concentrated package over the course of a quarter episode to introduce these characters, and it really hits those notes well.
I also feel that this also leans a bit into the whole slice of life, if not fantasy, right? But again, it's never, and by that I mean it's never too extreme at any one thing that it's doing, right? It doesn't like really lay it on thick with the adult humor, right? It doesn't ever lay it on thick with the fantasy elements. It doesn't lay it on thick at any point in time. It's a nice even. Go on.
I think it does. That's the whole point. Is that it puts fantasy, but it puts into a manageable thing.
Sorry. I don't know what happened there. Anyway, I did have one last question for you before we move on, though. So I know that there was kind of a story that was developing around the midway point. Did they keep with that? Did they continue developing it?
Yeah, they do. Yeah,
Good.
They do deviate. They do deviate like here and there, but in a good way, and it's really well done.
Cool.
So,
okay.
Thaylien.
Are we back running?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. I didn't realise we'd unpaused.
Sorry, that was my.
I'm going to start off with what I felt was the weakest of the bunch in this case. I'm going to go with Trigun Stampede.
Wow!
Oh, I need to hear this. Okay.
That's not to say I didn't like it.
Okay.
I'm going to put this at a high acquired taste.
Okay.
Because it didn't go with what I thought they would go with. It changed an awful lot. And one of the things that put me off was they pulled what I like to call a Dante. So we've had this thing about Vash being an e-boy all this time, and the whole thing was based off of, I think, in my mind, of the Devil May Cry remake attempt they did, the reboot attempt that was done by Team Ninja, where Dante, who is well known for being a white-haired devil hunter, was redone as a black-haired goth e-boy kind of affair.
Right.
And at the very start of the game, there's a thing where he's at the end of a pier-long carnival, and a wig gets blown onto his head with white hair. He looks at himself as he's in the mirror and goes, as if, and takes the wig off.
Right.
But then at the end of the game, if you use the devil trigger function, his hair turns white anyway.
Right.
And so I'm absolutely certain that the whole thing with Vash's hair was to set up at the end a situation where it just gets spiked for him. You know, I'm like, oh dear. So it's like they didn't even stick to their own design choice changes.
You gotta get that fan service in, man. You know,
you do, and they rounded out a couple of things like that.
The hair is fan service.
mentions of Millie Thompson and things like that. I thought that what I mentioned in previous things, where they made Knives a more evil character in my mind by showing what he can do first. They showed, they didn't tell, by having him destroy a whole town with his power, and then have him be a threat. They then didn't capitalize on it, because while Vash ends up doing exactly what he did in the original series with blowing up July, it wasn't Knives' fault.
Oh no!
It was part of a battle where he didn't. It was where Knives tried to force him physically to do it instead of being that mental mastermind.
Yeah.
The thing that Nasuth liked about it didn't actually happen.
Yeah.
You know,
the fact it was out of Vash's
capitalize
control,
on that.
It was a violation of his autonomy. It's so that original
is
so deep and
Yes, and this one, he couldn't help it. He tried to do his utmost to do the best thing, and failed. Which is, yes, it's a failure, but it didn't change who Vash is in this one. It didn't give him that mental issue of having done something. I
can't go after Knives because this could happen again. Yeah.
Exactly. Now it's just a thing of, I fought with Knives.
I have to get stronger. I have to get better.
And then, I'm glad they're going with the Eric's route. I'm glad they're going with that.
The what route?
The Eric's route, where he, after July, he had a time where he spent time as a man called Eric's.
Yeah, where he was just like the normal guy with the long hair and
yeah. Didn't spike his hair and everything else. So I'm glad they're going with that, and it looks like almost that they're starting off a bit more of the earlier series, but with everybody being in a completely different place. Yeah, I think that might be based on what they've done here.
I'm pretty sure I read that there was going to be a season 2. Yeah,
I think that they failed to grasp what they did something different. They did something that made the characters for me seem a bit more impactful, but they lost something key in what the choices they actually made in the end. And so, the characters they introduced, the new ones, for example, good story arc, great payoff with them, and great meaning to the characters that got involved. Sadly, the characters that they actually took from the original part of it, the main characters, they didn't capitalize on what they could have done with them that made the original series so good. So, it's still good, but you really, really have to detach your mind from the original series to find it great.
I have a question. I can't remember in the original series. Was July where Vash lost his arm?
He never. No, he never.
No,
lost his arm. Well, no, yeah, he did. Yeah,
yeah,
I'm sorry.
he did. No,
you're right. You're right.
No,
You're right. Yeah.
No,
But
he
that's
genuinely
different.
in the old series he lost his arm in a fight with knives.
Yeah, but that was a
And
different.
he got the fake one, but it
July.
was shown in a flashback, and it wasn't in July. July is it was
July
shown
was
in the
more
flashbacks.
recent. July's more recent.
Yes.
The arm was longer
Yeah.
ago.
Yes, so that's why Vash was carrying around the gun, and Knives was able to turn it into the mega cannon in July.
Because I, if I remember correctly, and I there's a high chance I'm not. Like, July was the fight with Knives, where it was the first time he used the angel gun.
Yes,
and he didn't have the cybernetic arm to do what he does in the later.
Oh, where he shoots the gun to.
He basically redirects the.
You might be right. It has been a long time since I've watched it.
Because it just feels like, so why does he have a cyborg arm now? I just feel like there's so many.
In this one, they had the full thing, the full background of how the original opening of Vash's power was not intentional and resulted in him losing his arm, but didn't. But they placed it far before the incidents of the current series, and made that one of those things of why Vash was so unable to do anything when we first encountered Knives in this series, in the present day.
So just to confirm, are you saying that in this season, Vash lost his arm a different way and Knives doesn't have it?
So in this current series, Vash lost his arm when his powers first activated, and it caused a vortex, like a black hole, that Knives cut off the arm on purpose to end the use of the powers, and didn't take the arm because it was absorbed into the black hole.
What about what's his name? The Legato?
Legato was added just for the original anime. He was not a character before that. Yeah. He's essentially a Knives stand-in because they wanted to introduce Knives as an actual force later on.
Yes, but as a point, Legato is in this one.
Oh, okay.
Just not ever introduced. He causes a lot of problems, but is a speaking role, but he's never,
Oh yeah, I do think it was
introduced.
him in the last one.
Yeah.
Okay. Right. Maybe a second season could tempt me to watch this, but I mean,
possibly.
Anyway, should we move on to
Nasuth? I think we might want to pause.
No, I'm fine.
Are you sure? Because the footage looks like okay, fine. Right.
Wait, what's wrong? Sorry, what's
your video is frozen for us.
Paused. Oh, no, it's fine on my end.
So
this is what happened.
Yes,
this is what happened before.
Right, Nasuth, pick a show.
Let's go with Kaina of the Great Snow Sea. Let's get that one out of the way.
Okay.
Because while Kaina was good, I actually ended up dropping it after episode 7 when I came back to it because it just I don't know. Maybe it was the long break that I had before picking it back up, but it just didn't pick me back. It didn't grab me again like those first few episodes did.
No, we've lost you again, Nasuth.
I don't know. I guess I'm gonna have to give it.
Can't hear you.
Oh no. So where was I? I was saying that yes, it just kind of like the scenery is still gorgeous. I think that the CG surprisingly lends itself well to this storytelling. A lot of the landscapes have a very sort of eldritch environment thing going on, but I think part of it is knowing that there's a movie coming out that's gonna finish the story may have dampened my enthusiasm to keep going, because it's like, oh well, I know this isn't gonna be the end, this is just gonna be a cliffhanger.
So it kind of demotivated you to finish it.
Yeah, I think that's a good way.
Kaina demotivated.
Kaina demotivated me. Yeah. I'll probably pick this bad one back up when it gets dubbed and when the movie's coming out. But yeah.
Did you actually give this a rating?
I believe I said it was nothing special. That may not have gone through though. If not, let me officially stamp it now. Yeah.
Cool. Should we move on to my next
big shame.
one?
Love sci-fi. Big shame. Nope, that's it.
Okay. Right. I'm gonna do a 2-for-1. Mostly because I don't want to spend too much time on either, right? So the first one is Inspector. So Inspector Season 2, I want to flat out give a must-watch.
Agreed.
I do remember liking Season 1.
It's a fantastic series that gives more of what Season 1 should have. I kind of wish that the tales were in the reverse direction, because like Season 2 gives you, I think, 4 different stories, maybe 5. I can't really remember. Can't really count. But with Season 1, it only really gave you 2 stories, so it was very heavily weighted on one story. And for an introduction to the series, it's fine if you can binge watch it, especially if it's in English. It's a lot easier to consume. But Season 2 is like so much better. You don't have all this excessive amounts of setup. Again, even though that they spent so much time in the first season with the whole world building of it, Season 2 is just there is still expanding upon yet more world building. I've said this before, where one of the folklore creatures doesn't, or basically folklore creatures in general, don't understand the concept of human chronology. Well, basically timekeeping. We don't distinguish.
What's a
linearity?
Yeah, the folklore creatures don't conceptually understand days, as individual dates and things like that. So it's just, this is just the day, this is just the night. If you ask me to pick which one was when, I don't know. So that again, it was a very, very brilliant story. You also learn more. I think you learn more about the relationship between is it Rika and Itagawa? So basically, like 2 of the main characters, not the boyfriend character, but like the goddess and his cousin. So it was a really, really good series. So that's that. Then I'm going to move straight on into is it wrong to try and pick up girls in a dungeon? I seriously want to slap this with a must watch, but we're starting to get into, this is a very large number of episodes to consume, so I have to put this as acquired taste, right?
Yeah.
We effectively, Season 4 Part 2 is realistically like Season 5, right? We're getting to like, this is getting a bit like wieldly to watch the whole thing.
If you've already invested this much into it, it will not disappoint you. But if you haven't, it might take you. Go back and see if Season 1 catches you, and if that works, then yeah.
You get to spend time with Belle and Best Elf Leon. That's just a joke. But it's a lovely series. It does a fantastic job explaining the whole thing. The cliffhanger halfway through the season, with Part 1, just like, why are you doing this to me?
Was there a core between a season between Part 1 and 2, or was it just immediately Part 1 like in autumn and Part 2 in winter? I can't remember.
I know part 1 was summer
So
of
there was a
last
season
year.
between. Okay.
So there was a season between, but there was no.
That's not the worst. Yeah.
Yeah, there was no. Yeah, but it was just like. Oh, on that cliffhanger though, it was just like, especially considering
is that
it was like
Hestia?
No.
Okay, I was gonna say.
It was just like, a bit unexpected and a bit frustrating. This part is a little slow. The animation is still on point. The world exploration is still brilliant. The history that it goes into about Leon is fantastic. Yeah, so I loved it, and I kind of wish that there was an epilogue episode, but there wasn't. Which is a little sad, but I'll bring on season 5 is all I have to say. So
Maybe there'll be an OVA, a between season OVA or something.
Maybe, yeah. I hope it's just canonical because they've done like movies and things that aren't. And yeah. But anyway, right. I shall hand over to Thaylien.
Alrighty, I'm gonna go for Chillin in my 30s after getting fired from the Demon King's army. And this one I would like to give a must watch, but I'm going to give it an acquired taste because while I enjoyed it, it's not going to be quite for everybody. I am very impressed with where this series went. At the 6 episodes review, I pointed out that it made a substantial change. It made a time jump, characters changed, evolved, and some had even died. And they went in with this on the full, wholesome, almost wish fulfillment ending. There's a good bit of action at the end of it, and they introduce a whole load of fun characters. And I liked how it was more about, rather than world peace or some grand thing, it was literally about the problems of two brothers, one being adopted, and the trials that come from being the adopted brother that is the odd one out. And I did like the fact they made it about the relationships rather than about the fantasy characters or the world that they, the overpowered nature of what they were actually doing, and that the strongest character is still the girl. Because it doesn't matter what thing, she is fucking terrifying, especially now that she's a mum.
No. What?
Yes.
Mums are scary, man. Dude, mums are terrifying.
No, they are. No, I mean, the fact that she's got the authority of being his wife and a mother now gives her this authority kind of thing of when somebody comes into her house and disrespects her family, the death stare is real. And, it's that kind of thing. And the fact that she still has, like, adventurer's level strength. So when she comes in for a tackling hug, she will crush bones.
Wait, so was she a mum by episode 6?
Yep. That's with the time skip. After 1 year, their son, Gran, is born. And who actually becomes a real plot point in this. Because we find out some very important things about this little family of theirs. For example, we find out where our man gets his special ability, which is he has all 4 of the basic auras at maximum strength. There is only one other person with that in the world at the moment, and so it's a plot point. The things that he can do, the people he's met, the bridging of the gap that he does between the demons, who are just one type of people who can use magic, and the humans, who are just another type of people that can use auras. It actually is just about bringing people together.
Right.
And, finding your place rather than, having to put up with a very shitty boss. So, yeah, no, I give it an acquired taste because it's more slice of life than it is action, and it's actual fantasy rather than isekai, so you won't be able to get there's no real point of relation for discovering this world, apart from the things that our main character goes through. So while they do a great job of expanding their world and telling the story, it is probably not as easy to get into. And that's, it's not a bad series, and I really enjoyed where they went with it. The comedy was on point in many cases, and it did give us a couple of waifus, which, is always appreciated.
I don't know if it's getting a dub or not. I'll be honest, like, I did enjoy it, but with the stuff I was watching, it was one I had to basically let go because I knew you were covering it. I just didn't have the capacity to watch everything.
Of course.
I feel like if this gets a dub, I would just totally just have this going on in the background while, like,
easy finish,
watching, I'm doing some work or something. Yeah. I loved the interaction with the characters. I thought they were brilliant, and for what little I did see of it,
it was I loved that they do, because Malika here is obviously a waifu character, right? And she becomes an actual wife. But they did a couple of things with the show. Very, very little fan service. But what they did was actually hilarious because of it. So, like, they'll have the baby, Gran. Obviously, he meets the new female characters, and the first thing he does is like, oh, titties.
Oh my god!
He's like going after them, and his father's going, well, here's my son, and to distract him.
Yep.
So, yeah, and there's a really touching scene after the action thing where Malika comes sprinting out the house as if she's going to tackle hug him, and instead gives him an actual welcome home. And instead of doing the pullback and the yep, I'm home, they actually do a zoom in to where his head is right between her titties.
Oh my god!
I'm home.
Yeah.
And it's the same sentiment, completely different meaning.
Yep.
So yeah, what's there is funny rather than in your face overt. It's quite good. So yeah, right. Nice little series. Give it a watch, guys.
Go on, Nasuth.
Cool. I'm gonna do Hikari no O, which I feel like we're saying this a lot in this episode. I really, really, really want to give this one a must watch. Like, I really do. But there are a couple of things that drag it down to an acquired taste. I think I even gave it a must watch in about the 6 and the 3. But it either needs to be a full 26 episode run, I think, instead of just 10. And they are doing that because there is going to be to be continued. So there's at least going to be another 10 episodes. But 10 episodes is not enough to really do, like, it feels like they waste some time in a couple of different areas that in a 10 episode run you really can't waste that time. It feels like there needed to at least be another 1 or 2 episodes to really hammer home a good, like, midpoint sort of thing. And the thing is that I hate getting rid of some of it because some of it was very humanizing side story stuff. Like we reunite the dog with its Kanata, the dog that follows her, with its actual owner. There's a girl who was on one of the trains in this world because she was going to another village to be a bride. She finally finds somebody that she can actually love instead of being forced into being a bride. Stuff like that. It's great. It's great. I love seeing it. Why is it in my 10 episode run?
Yeah.
But I love the art style. I know it's a really weird and artsy and goes off model quite a lot, but I thought it was really good. I think the fact that they are getting into what caused the world to be the way it is, they've deepened the lore of the quote-unquote gods in the world, which I have a theory about. I think they're either AI programs that are in charge now, or people using some kind of weird futuristic holographic technology. But they have, one of them has shown up, and they've shown an image of the other ones, like a vision of the other ones. And they do have, like, actual weird powers that can do amazing things, but I'm pretty sure, based on what we've been told, that they're just people. Or AI or whatever. They're not, like, oh, super amazing, powerful gods. Oh god, yeah, they waste so much time on the establishing shots of some of the areas. What else was there? Everyone's finally converged into the capital city, so we're no longer following two disparate groups. There's a subplot going on about potentially killing the gods, and I think that might end up being a good thing. I don't know. There's like the gods are called like the divine clans or whatever, and there's a group that's also protected by one of the gods but is working against the other ones, and it may turn out they're actually the good guys. Not sure. There's a whole mythology about the gods. So man took fire from the beasts, and now the gods have given fire back to the beasts, and it's lots of really weird, interesting stuff. We find out more about the tree people and how they're actually like experiments. They're not weirdly evolved beings. They're actual experiments that we're trying to like create a race that could survive in this new world without fire. I don't know how else to describe it. Lots of weird, interesting little tidbits. It almost plays out like a Dark Souls game where they don't just spoon feed you the info. You have to sort of glean it out of their encounters and whatnot. There's even, like, when we're finding out about the tree people, there's even like this weird eldritch tree in the middle of this technological city whose roots like go down so far and are so big that they look almost like an underground forest themselves. And they're also seemingly in control down there of the Millennium Star, which is a satellite that's coming back around, which is somehow related to the gods and the destruction of the man's inability to use fire anymore. But they don't. There's no resolution within these 10 episodes to any of that, really. There's lots of hints, nothing solid to really land on, and that's what drags this down. That's what drags us into an acquired taste, because you have to be into that sort of experimental sci-fi to hang on to it that long. Yeah, I don't really have any. You guys have any questions?
I do.
Yeah, go for it.
In all honesty, I'd like clarification, because...
I know, I just said a lot of stuff without really going into the details on it, because...
Yeah. No, that's fine. Like, I'm kind of glad that you haven't, but you said it's only 10 episodes, and it's getting a part 2, right, or a season 2. Is it worth starting the 10 episodes now, or wait until the next part is due before starting?
I think, given how frustrated I am at getting to episode 10 and then seeing continued in season 2 and feeling this sense of like non-resolution, I think it's best to wait, personally.
Okay. That was the main thing for me, because like I'm interested, don't get me wrong, but at the same time, I don't want to feel that like frustration. Yeah. Sorry, I just realized that. So this is the dog holding one of the Fire Hunter sickles, and this is our main character, Toko. I just realized one of the major plot points towards the end is that she does decide to carry on in the name of the Fire Hunter who saved her and become what. So that is actually one good resolution, but it's still, I don't know. It's still just I'd still wait. Right. Cool. Should we move on?
Indeed.
Right. Next. Reborn to Master the Blade, from Hero King to Extraordinary Squire.
Interesting on this one. Tell me.
I think you're going to be
There's
disappointed.
Nothing
Thaylien.
special.
Oh, shame.
I really, really enjoy this show, right? But the sad truth of the matter is, it is your standard, stereotypical, short-run series where they don't have enough time to do a proper full-length story, so they end up having to clip the wings of the climactic fight just to get it over and done with. And that really unfortunately brings it down. The animation, it's pretty standard throughout the whole series, but it's quite clear that it's better at the beginning of the series and at the end of the series rather than in the middle. There's a character that is just like, where the hell have you been this entire time? A side character, none of the main characters, but it's just like, it just randomly appears and it's just like, I do really like this series, and I think a lot of people will like it as well, but I think everyone will feel the same frustration that it just kind of ends. And realistically, I think this could certainly do with a part 2 or a second season, but I don't think they're prepared to commit to one, at least not yet. And that's the real stuff, because it really starts the exploration of the world. Because one of the coolest elements is that you have this like highlands, which are literally like floating islands. It's one floating island, and the highlands are trying to steal towns from the lowland, the ground level, right, to attach to their island, because they're trying to expand by stealing from. But they're like so magically superior that they can sweep their hand, and like an entire castle is just gone, right? So even though the people on the ground have like vast superior numbers, they kind of bow to the Highlands because they have superiority in science, in magic, in all sorts of weird ones. So there's a lot there. There's so much potential there. But unfortunately, they just run out of time. And that's the really frustrating thing. I'd love to put this as an acquired taste. It couldn't be a must-watch because it's too much of a niche setting, right? But unfortunately, it has to land in nothing special. So I don't know if you have any questions.
Something good to put on as a dub.
Yeah. I'd certainly say watch it as a dub, right? Something that you can, like, I've gotten into this frame of mind now very recently, where it's like I'd like to watch stuff on the side while I'm doing something else. I mean, like, hell, Nasuth and I have been watching a lot of older stuff, while we're doing something else, and it is great for that sort of thing, but the
reality is that it's like eating I don't know, McDonald's burger versus a well-prepared steak. It's gonna taste good. No, see, it's not, but it's gonna fill you up, but it's not anything really special.
No, see, here's the difference, right? I would argue it's like having half a really well-prepared steak, right?
Oh, okay,
because it is good quality steak, right? You're enjoying it hell of a lot. There's nowhere near enough to fill you up and sate you. Right?
Gotcha.
That's the problem, right? Oh, and here's
all you've got left after that is a salad.
Exactly, right? Perfect. No starch, no potato product of any type. It's just a side salad. It's like, wow, I love this green. That is a brilliant way to describe it. It's like it's half a steak.
But if you're watching the dub while you've got something else going on, then you've got that half a steak and some grilled salmon or something.
And a McDonald's.
Yeah, and McDonald's.
And it works.
And some chips.
Yeah. There you go.
Yep.
So that's probably the best way to describe it. Okay. I really enjoyed the series. I thought it was great. It's just not enough.
Oh my god. Just come up with a new rating system. The McDonald's scale.
Whopper. Just gonna stop.
That's Burger King. Come on.
So, this is. Let's move on to Tomo-chan Is a Girl.
Okie dokie.
Now, this one is definitely an acquired taste. Because it's above the standard crowd, but you do have to like rom-com slice of life before you get into it. It's really well done Okay, they actually go somewhere with it. In one season, they do solve the primary problem and move on to more of them. The side characters are great. The main characters actually have some don't just, well, they do dither about in the kind of the rom-com way, but they do it in a really funny manner. And it's actually, you can see how each episode is actually building on another. So it is more like half episodic format, where they bring in a new something or other to do with each half of an episode. But they actually go through and update their characters. They actually grow them, which is so rare in these, especially in rom-coms, where the whole point is that they stay the same all the way until the end of the show, and that, you know, only at the end of it they kind of realise something. This is a rom-com where the main characters actually do confess to each other at like episode 9 almost. You know, out of, well, no, it's 13 episodes in Tomo-chan, so it's episode 10, and they've still got another 2.5 episodes to go to find out something else to do, and they do. I absolutely love the two main side characters, Misuzu and Carol, because they have, you could actually see them as little devil and angel in this one. So Misuzu is the childhood friend who really thinks that she's manipulating everything, and is very, very scary. She's the kind of person that will destroy you socially, and has the ability to do it. And her cynicism, her way of just changing everything to suit herself, really plays out well. But then they give her a moment of existential crisis, where she realizes what she's doing may not be actually what she wanted to do, and she learns from it. She grows, and her friendship with her people deepens. And then there's Carol, who is possibly the best bimbo I've ever seen. She really is.
All right.
She's perfect because, okay.
Is she dumb?
No. That's the thing. She's simple, or it seems like it. So we never see her not smiling until towards the end of the show. And the reason is because she took her mum's advice seriously that she looks cuter when she smiles. She just took it at face value and does it all the time. But when Misuzu's about to be accosted by a group of 5 lads that think they're a gang, that Tomo and Jun have beaten up in the past, and they're trying to get some revenge by, possibly beating up Tomo's friends. Carol comes in, all smiles, and tases one of them.
Jeez!
So she's not stupid, but you wouldn't necessarily say she's a genius.
Yes, and the thing is, there's a in that scene. Okay, so she tases them, and they're about to escape, but then Carol's like, Misuzu takes her hand to pull her away. Carol lets go her hand, spins around, and falls into a puddle. Okay, and you think it's just her being clumsy, but it's because she overheard Misuzu say, "No, leave her alone. She's nothing to do with us. She's just an acquaintance. I don't even know her. She's a classmate." And she took that a little bit too much to heart. She actually took that at face value, and until Misuzu basically, no, we've got to go, was like, no, I don't want to come with you. But it was done in that little fraction of a moment, really subtle, and the characters realised what was going on later. And the two of them are like criminal masterminds when it actually comes to putting people together in relationships. So it is genuinely funny how they. So there's, of course, a beach episode,
of
right?
Course.
And Misuzu wasn't going to go until Carol leaned over and says, "Yeah, well, think of what Jun's face will be like when he sees Tomo in a swimsuit." And she's like, "Son of a bitch, I'm in." She didn't say it, but that's the thing. So we had that episode, and Jun is every like teenage boy, because there's little moments where like Carol in her swimsuit grabs his arm, and like there's just that little call out of his head of like a rocket about to take off. just that moment where you're like, whoop, no, too close, not looking. And yeah, no, it was a really well done comedy, really well done romance, and it's not one of those will they, won't they for the entire time. They actually resolve one problem, move on to the next, and evolve the relationship. And it's
that's
well
awesome.
done. So
that is good, because like, I mean,
yeah,
there's very few rom-coms where they actually do this, succeed in this, comparative to the mere shit ton there are of them. Horimiya is another brilliant rom-com that like they fucking do, and they get like, you know, they get in a relationship like by episode 6. It's like really early on. I'm more inclined to give this a go, knowing that they do actually succeed at something, because like the idea that they were just going to proverbially butt heads the entire way through, feigning ignorance, it was too much for me. So but okay, should we move on to Nasuth?
Of course. Nasuth, go for it.
What are you going for, Nasuth?
I am going for Mononogatari, which I mistook for another manga where people use a lot of wordplay. I can't remember the name of it now. Mononogatari, yes. an extra no, and you get this instead. So this is actually a must-watch, honestly.
Really?
Really. No matter what genre you like, there's likely at least a hint of it in this, except for Eki. Sorry, Thaylien. Sorry.
Why sorry him?
Because we know Thaylien loves his you know.
Okay. I'm fine with that. That's fine.
The animation is consistently strong. I've never really seen any. I mean, admittedly, I spend a lot of time reading subtitles, but the animation seemed to be consistently strong. There's a balance between slice of life comedy and growth, seinen mystery and growth, shonen action, and basically the theme here is growth. But they do still do all these themes. Like you'll have them get in a fight like this, where they're taking on one of these. I'm gonna call them ghosts. They're not really ghosts, but that's the easiest way to get away with, like, the easiest shorthand. They are ghosts who are hunting down other ghosts, except for our two main human characters, Hyoma and Botan. And in the course of doing that, like they'll have some time spent doing that. And then there'll be some off time where you get to see them puttering around the house or planning a party or, you know, stuff like that. It's not super formulaic. They don't do that every episode. Like, it's not fight and then fun, or fun and then fight. You know, sometimes you'll have a whole episode or two that covers a fight, and then you'll slow down for an episode and have some fun. Or sometimes you will have it half and half. So I like the fact that it's not just the same story beats over and over again. It's not just monster of the week, slice of life of the week stuff. The main character is really powerful, but he does kind of earn it. Like, he's had this background where he comes from a really strong family, which is why they're sort of the ruling family of this group of ghost hunters. He has the motivation to train in the fact that his brother and sister were killed by one of these ghosts. They call it the paper umbrella ghost. So he's had this motivation to push his skills up since he was a kid. He actually uses his brain in some of the fights. He calls it instinct, but he uses his brain. So in the first 6 episodes, he learned to sort of overcome his hatred of these ghosts. And in specific, there was one who was she was born out of a potter's wheel, and he realized that she's just a person like a person like everyone else. She has desires, she has hopes, she has fears, and sometimes the fears can get the better of these people. But if you work with them, they can become normal, functioning, quote unquote people. And he, during the second half, he's having to, we discover that the girl he's living with, Botan, there's something really, really special about her that everyone, all sides, want to get a hold of. But because everyone wants to get a hold of it, no one is actually willing to put it forward that first step for fear of triggering the opposing factions. Like, the ghosts won't go after her because then the ghost hunters will get them, etc. So he's trying to prove to some of these people that he's not trying to make use of her. He's just trying to learn. And they end up, it's a group of other ghost hunters that work in this particular area. And they end up, you find out that they can actually take these ghosts and seal them to their will to make them like fight or whatever. And so in the process of them testing him, they pull her out, that same ghost from earlier, and make him fight her to see whether he will kill her or whether he, what he'll do. And he does the unexpected option of unsealing her, so he no longer has to fight her, and then he can just go focus on the real problem. It's like, well, yeah, of course. Why wouldn't you do that? That's actually that's really smart. Oh gosh, is there anything else? Story definitely has its predictable moments, like the moment you learn that there's something special about Botan, I was like, oh, well, she's got one of these ghosts inside of her. Yep, that's the thing. She's got one of these ghosts inside of her.
Like a shonen kind of thing going on there.
Yeah. But it doesn't drag it down in any way. It's like, oh, it's so good. The climax of the season is him learning that he's still not, like, despite all his bluster, he's still nowhere near strong enough to go after the paper ghost, which is, again, sort of a shonen thing. But it also ends with him and Botan. Everyone this season, since about the halfway point, has been trying to push him and the girl together. And they've been resisting it because they're not, that's not what they're here for. But by the final episode, that's sort of starting to come into fruition too. So there are actually like things happening. There is actually growth happening, and I love it. Yeah, I think. Nice. Any other questions?
No, this sounds like it's really earned the must watch with you. So yeah, definitely going to give that a try.
Cool.
I concur.
Cool.
Right.
Cool.
So, moving on to Campfire cooking in another world with my absurd skill. Right? I'm not too mean to say, oh, this is just some generic isekai. But I can't give this a must watch. This is 100% a really high acquired taste. Right? The comedy in this is fairly solid. The part of the problems with it is the fact that it often heavily relies on the same comedic points time and time again. The animation quality from Mappa is just, again, is top notch. They did a fantastic job. But it doesn't feel like it escalates properly. So one of the weakest points of the series, like a lot of shows where you have an overpowered protagonist, like one of the biggest fumbling points I feel is how the economy can even work, how the economy can even function, right? And in the series, you know, the legendary familiar goes around and kills like super rare monsters, and the idea is that these monsters are supposed to get like diced up by a butcher, and the meat is given to our main protagonist to be used for cooking ingredients, while the other bits like the guts, the skin, so on and so forth, the non-meat parts end up getting bought out by the guild and sold for as, like, you know, crafting materials and stuff. But they end up killing such rare, or rather, Fenrir ends up killing all these amazing beasts that the guild genuinely cannot afford the bits, so the crafting materials and things like the skins and stuff, and ultimately they have to basically give the excess to the guy, and he's amassing a small fortune. He's depleting the gold reserves of these guilds quite rapidly, to the point of how on earth will this economy function if he doesn't do something with the fight? Because
that's something like a market crash waiting to happen.
Yeah, he is out in the wilds. Like he just camps, right? He is just like, sometimes he'll stay at an inn and things like that, but like the majority of the time he's roughing it, preparing food for his familiars, and it's just like, you are going to destroy economies. Build a fucking restaurant chain.
He doesn't even buy like a fancy tent or anything. It's just a normal like pup tent.
One of those times when it would in fact actually be valid to have a shop.
Yes. Yeah. It's like, you are destroying the economy here. Do you not realize what you are doing?
You have a chain of shops.
I can't help thinking though that this series should just be Fantastic Beasts and How to Eat Them.
Very much so, but it is very well animated, right? It is funny in a lot of the right ways, but unfortunately some of the jokes are very predictable. One of my favorite jokes early on is the fact that he ends up buying this map from these adventurers that is supposed to, like, this is the continent that they live on and things like this. And they, this map's like super rare, so they're prepared to sell it to him for 1 gold, right? Well, obviously the fucking map is like commonplace. If you go to the Adventurers Guild, you could just get one for 10 silver. And so, like, these adventurers basically scammed him, and he's like, fuck. So again, it's nice in that regard. But unfortunately, I think that's like episode 1 sort of thing. When Fenrir comes along, it just very much becomes like a one-trick pony, where Fenrir is just like, feed me now, feed me all the time. And
more like a one-trick wolfie.
If you want to be fed, huh?
More like a one-trick wolfie.
Pretty much. But like, if you want to be fed, go fucking hunt the food. And Fenrir fucking goes and hunts the food. So it's a really good series, but it unfortunately is a bit lacking in some regards. I'd certainly say it's worth a watch though.
Yeah.
Right. Thay.
So I'm going to pick up Ningen Fushin. Adventurers who don't believe in humanity will save the world. And I really like this one. It's an acquired taste because of the themes it covers. Okay? The show started off and finishes off as a show about dealing with the tragedies that can make you disconnect from people.
Interesting.
And it's the 4 adventurers, as I mentioned before, all have their own separate tragedies that cause them to lose their trust in other people. And they're forming this team just through happenstance because they all hate people. It's the one common goal. So because they have that commonality, they don't feel the need to trust each other. They don't feel the need to form the same kind of thing. They, like go everywhere together. But you can see that growing. They found the sort of bonds which can give them the power to merge 2 of them together to get a powerful fighter that's more powerful than both of them. And by the midpoint, we'd only seen it happen with 1, which is our main character Nick and the dragon girl Karan. And they formed a powerful brawler fighter with a giant sword. But we later see that it can happen with the other 2 as well. So forming a mage paladin format, Nick and the sorceress here, the merger produces a very, very beautiful paladin type. And we don't ever actually see whether it's actually a girl or a guy. although because of the long blonde hair, everybody thinks it's a girl. And then, of course, there's the healer, their priest, and Nick form a kind of more like a highly mobile caster type that can zip around through the air and create landing pads for themselves. The story is not really all that complex. The title says it all. Their adventures don't believe in humanity will save the world. But not yet. This is the story building up to their adventure that will have them go off and defeat the bad guys, save the world from it. For now, they actually have to become a team. And it's very difficult for them with the things they've been through. Through flashbacks, through exploration, through different events that actually happen to them at the time, in the series. You can see they're actually working through. But it never stops affecting them. They save a little girl from a kidnapper, but the priest, who was accused by a little girl of doing nasty things to her, and was imprisoned for years because of it, and then was banished as his punishment, can't be around girls that age. He rescues one, but, that's just because that's what good guys do. But he doesn't even want to be in within 20 feet of them anymore, because it scares the shit out of him. He's literally traumatized, and that actually comes into play. It's Kara and the Dragon Girl. She still has good memories from her adventuring team that betrayed her. She still had fun. She can't get rid of the fact that she had fun. She was one of the team there, and she's confused that everybody seems to be okay with their own situations now, towards the end of the series, because she can't forget, she can't get away from the trauma. And you can see this building up into hope, into change, and into growth of character. It's not quite there yet. Oh, and Zeno, there was a thing about the animation quality dropping in about episodes 4 and 5. That does go away. They've put a lot more attention towards the end of the series.
Okay, good.
Isn't that why you dropped it? I can't remember.
Yeah,
it was a larger factor.
Okay,
yeah, those two episodes did seriously drop the quality with walk cycles that didn't connect with the road and everything else. So yeah, the changes in them are slow, but they're meaningful because of it. And I think the show actually does hit some really good notes. So, acquired taste, because not for everybody, but I really recommend it.
I might try and give it another go. I think I'd be inclined to give this another go with a dub. So that you don't have to watch some of the weirder animation bits. Not just that, but if I'm getting a bit bored or whatever, I can just
Obviously, we all know that the original Japanese is better. We know that.
Oh god,
but sometimes it's just nice to be able to play a video game or do some coding or whatever, and still have something fun on in the background. And you just keep. I can't sit there and read all the whole time. My eyes aren't built that way anymore.
Not just that, but I to be honest, I find it shocking that you can video edit while at the same time watching anime.
I can't always, but I can. Sometimes I can. Yeah,
it's talent.
Right.
Last one from Nasuth then.
Yeah. Oh yeah. It's time for Revenger. Unless you want to go first, and then I'll go after you.
No.
Okay. So I wanted to give Revenger a must watch, but there are just a couple of little things that drag it down to an acquired. It is a sliver's edge. It's so close to a must watch. First off, you have to understand some of the shorthand for this type of historical drama, because it is set in that is it late Edo? I can't remember. Whenever the opium crisis is really starting to heat up. It's right around the Bakumatsu period. But anyway, so you have to understand some of that stuff. Although they do at least explain to you why what's going on with the opium, why is who's bringing it in, who's trying to get it into China, etc., etc. But it never actually gets bogged down in those details, which is nice. You do still kind of need to understand them, but it's not 100%. Unlike, speaking of the Bakumatsu period, Bakumatsu Bad Boys, which I wanted to love so much, but like it went off in 100 different directions. It couldn't decide where it wanted to focus. This show knows where the focus is supposed to be, and that focus is on this conflict between England. Oh God, what city are they in? Not. I think it's Kyoto. I could be wrong. And China, right? And they throw like red herrings at you at first. They want you to think that it's China who's bringing this stuff in, but actually during this period of time, China was trying to wipe out opium, and it turns out that no, they should have been allies this whole time, working against somebody in the city itself who is trying to like ruin everyone with opium. But it's got that very strong theme of sticking to task. I felt like sometimes it got a little stuck in this introspection of the samurai, who are our main sort of character, if any of them can be. I mean, it's an A-team, so none of them are really the main character, but if anyone is, it's him. And he joined up because of the guilt over killing his fiancée, or essentially getting his fiancée killed, because he was tricked into it. And so his motivation has been to track down the people who did this, who are related to the whole opium trade. And there's been a lot of introspection there too about him, like, who could he be after this? If he finally gets his revenge, what will he do? Does he deserve to be happy? Could he ever be happy? And that's good. I like that. But they stick with it a little too much. Every episode in the last half is like, there's a section where it's like, oh, but you're drawing Yui and she looks so sad still. Will you ever draw her looking happy? Do I deserve to ever draw her looking happy? So that's a little bit of a bad side. But yeah, I don't. What else can I say about it? The art style is good. The characters are interesting and funny. It doesn't always go where you expect it to go. Like I said, there's the red herring about the opium and how you're supposed to think the Chinatown leader is the bad guy. Oh, the ending is gorgeous. It really ends the only way it could end. I don't want to spoil it. But a lot of that introspective stuff sorta comes into play by the end. There's a subplot about how what does it mean? Is it okay to give in to the desires of money and give up your code of honor? Because there's like a second group of Avengers that show up, and they're doing the work for the opium dealers because they're breaking their code. They're supposed to only do stuff for people that have enough passion that they can bite into a gold coin and leave. Like the deeper the teeth marks, the more their passion is. And the opium dealers are just like, let me just barely click my teeth to it. I'm so angry. Here you go. Oh, let me do another one. I'm so angry. Here you go. And yeah, I love it. I love it. It's so good. Yeah. Any questions? Any?
Part of me was just like, what the fuck am I hearing right now?
Yeah, I was going to say, I have a question, Nasuth, and my question is, can you please not do Uwu speak again for a while?
Yeah, I second that.
Here's my coin,
Shut up. Right, I do have a genuine question. So one of the major things that stopped me from watching the series was, to me, it felt like it wasn't going anywhere. It was so slow. Right, it didn't really explore a lot of. It was teasing hell of a lot.
Second half's a lot better, a lot tighter, a lot less villain of the week.
Does it ever? Okay, that's a good first step. But does it ever like explain who the clergyman or clergyman is at all? Like and the nun, does any of that get explained? Right? The relationship between
yes. That does actually get.
I'm fine.
Yeah.
I am fine with just a binary yes or no. So I'm just going to throw that one out there.
Yeah.
The other side of it is
although I would like to point out that's very similar to Chapel of the Evergreen and his teacher in Trigun in how they're not super well explained, like where that church came from or what it's doing. Just that, yeah. Anyway, sorry. Yes, your final question.
Okay. But does it ever elaborate more on the histories of the other characters? Because, like, by the time I gave up, we had obviously the samurai boy, and then the psycho kid, right?
Neo, yeah,
that was like the only two that we got, right? Does it ever elaborate on the motivations of the other characters? It doesn't have to tell us their backstory. It doesn't have to give us any flashbacks. Does it ever give us the motivations of the other characters?
Yeah. Not for all of them. I don't think we ever really learn too much about the rogue, other than, his life has gone to shit. But we do kind of learn more about the doctor and the priest. Yeah.
Okay, that's like those are the two that I care more about.
It really is more of the samurai story, so that's where a lot of the focus is. But we do learn more. We learn less, especially about the priest, like his whole like outlook on life and yeah.
I think part of the problem though is like when you come up with really interesting characters, but then spend no time on them.
Yeah.
It's like.
Well, that's the same problem I had with Bakumatsu Bad Boys, is that it was trying to spend time with every character, and so it had no focus. So I do see what you mean. Yeah.
Right. I've got nothing else. So
cool.
Should we go on to Thaylien? Do you have anything you wanna?
No, I'm good. I don't think this is one of those ones I will pick up. So. Yeah.
Right. So this is my last one, right?
Is it?
So
yes,
I'm pretty sure it is. Right. So, ONIMAI, I'm now your sister. Right. I picked this up this week, and I'm giving this. I'm torn. I'm really torn. I'm gonna give this a low must-watch.
Okay.
Right. It's a very interesting series, but there are things about it that I don't really agree with. Right. So the premise of the series is effectively the sister character, this scientist genius sister character, ends up drugging her brother, and he ends up going from an older brother to a younger sister, right?
Wait, hang on a second. I've seen this hentai before.
No.
Yeah. I've seen multiple hentai before.
So you guys are into weird shit. But besides that, it's really interesting.
Oh, is there an axolotl pillow? Oh, I love it instantly. Sorry.
Oh,
doesn't matter what else comes in this. I love it. I love it. Sorry, go ahead.
Anyway. So what's it called? The brother character, I'm going to continue to refer to him as a he, as he does himself. And he kind of he was a shut-in NEET. He went by the stay-at-home security officer or something, which is often what a lot of people that are NEETs will refer to themselves as, like, someone that's unemployed. So he is also like heavily an otaku and things like this, and he is heavily into a lot of the adult stuff. I mean, how you can see some of them on his shelves right now. But
oh yes,
he struggles a lot with what's happened to him, and it's a great series where you get this like introspective look of what it really is like to be a girl, right? And you get to, you know, from someone that's never gone through any of these things, you get to see this. Now, the part that really falls flat for me is the fact that there seems to be just pure 100% acceptance that this has happened to them. And I don't know, like, this is really difficult, because, like, I don't know if I could just flat out accept such a radical thing to happen to me, right? And it just feels a bit off by that. Am I making any sense?
I mean, on the one hand, it's like, well, this is the reality you deal with. You have to deal with it. But on the other hand, I don't want this reality. Nobody asked me if I wanted this reality, is a better way to put it.
I would say, I would liken it to, say, at least something like Mushoku Tensei, where the inner monologue of the kid is actually
different
still the older man.
Yeah.
Is still the person he originally was. Even though he has accepted the reality, there's the inner monologue that shows that no, he's not quite. It's still the previous person.
Wolfie Boy in Miss Kuroitsu, yes, yeah. Where he really did not like being treated like a girl at first, especially at first. Yeah.
So again, you see a lot of the brothers' old habits and things are still around, right? But I think a large part. Okay, well, I mean, this is like the first episode still. Like, he's still trying to come to grips with what's happened to him.
Right.
But it's
that just happens too quickly.
It does. It resolves too quickly for me. But again, he's also experiencing things that he wouldn't ever experience before. He's making friends. You know, as a shut-in NEET, he never had friends, and a lot of the you know, people find him cute and irresistible and things like this. And you know, again, he gets to see the whole girl's perspective of what it's like to talk to a guy and be spoken to by a guy, right? So, which again is like, that doesn't happen for like till the later half of the series. It is a good series. I do really enjoy it. It's really out of my comfort zone. I would highly recommend people watching it.
Here's a question then.
Okay.
Would you have enjoyed it as much if you had watched it episodically? You know,
rather than all at once.
I don't really feel I can answer that question, only because that's not how I consume it.
I know, but if you had to wait between episodes, do you think that the story would have, you know, not have resolved so quickly?
That's a fair point, because I would have actually had the opportunity to process it week on week. So that's a really fair point, and I think
do we know how much
to the show itself?
Do we know how much time passed in world for the character between when it happened and when he accepted it?
No. I'm not sure, because I think it's the second episode. Like, you get the inclination that it's been a month. Right?
Oh wow!
So it's like, you know, from the first episode to the second episode, it's been like a month, I think. I think.
That might be reasonable. Yeah.
Yeah, it might be. Over the course of the season, can't remember if it's been a year or not, or it's close to a year, right? So
it'd still be nice to see a little bit more of that, but yeah, I get, yeah.
Again, it is a very good series. It is very fun. It's very dumb. It's silly. There's a censored version and an uncensored version, and the funny thing about it is it doesn't reveal anything in the uncensored version. It's just what characters it does, how it treats other characters. Like,
I see.
So basically, you get to actually I did the meme. I think it was last week, the video meme, or like 2 weeks ago or something like this. where it was like, you know, gacha and anime and things like this, and they're like, you know, being coerced, right? It's off of this,
Titties.
right? Yes. And the big thing about it was that one of the characters is underage. So in the censored version, you don't see that bit at all. You don't see anything. In the uncensored version, it's just, you know, but you don't see it at all.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah.
I see. Yeah.
It's the situation, the implication and stuff. Yeah, I got it.
Exactly.
Yeah, okay.
So that's
all right.
And it only happens twice in the entire series. So,
all right.
I have one other question. How different does our character look as a boy and a girl? Like, does he look similar as a girl to how he looked as a boy? I mean, obviously he's younger.
No,
now,
you don't know. You don't know because you don't.
Oh.
You never see them.
Right?
He is. I'm pretty sure he's completely graduated out of the school system, and then
that's usually the case with NEETs.
By reverting back, he goes back to a middle school age and ends up re-enrolling in middle school.
But like you can't you never see his adult self.
No, I don't think you do. I'm pretty sure.
Wow, that's really cool.
See, now that's a good twist because we never see it. So yeah, okay. No, I'll give that one a shot actually.
Right, and then.
And I am so happy we're finishing on this one. You have no idea. Let me rant about this. This is the fruit of evolution. Before I knew it, my life had it made. And right away, I'm going to give this a nothing special. But I laughed my fucking ass off. Okay.
Really?
This show, the first series, was out of the box in terms of how it approached an isekai and how it did these things, but it didn't seem like anything, you know, overtly funny or special. But this second series has just ramped up the silly and leaned into it in the right situations. So when I came to this on the halfway point, they'd done a few of these episodes where they'd had some introspection. They'd had some things of showing, like our main character here, he still had the form of a fat little high schooler, and he just never transformed back. Unlike Saria, who can go back to gorilla form pretty much at, you know, whenever she wants. He never did it because, of course, he was embarrassed by it, and he didn't want people to see him like that. So there has been character growth, but then the plot kicks off a little bit more, and something that happened in the early part of the series was that he got very angry and was suddenly in a white space similar to Full Metal Alchemist, and his shadow became a giant eye that leaned over him and loomed and seemed to ask him a question, but he kind of snapped out of it. And so the Demon Lord is trying to make a comeback, and his worshippers, his supporters, make their play. And the way that gets dealt with is actually surprising, because the ones that get sent out, two of them, I'm not sure if you can hear that engine in the background.
Good, yeah.
Yeah. Sorry about that. Living on a main road. There's some idiot. So the way they deal with the supporting characters is surprisingly wholesome. So the first one we see is a shapeshifter who shapeshifts into members of this guy's friends group and tries to take them out, tries to kill them, but then ends up being converted almost because he's never experienced the friendship that they have. And so all their positive energy basically turns him into a good person again.
Jeez.
And so he saves them from a troll and then gets revealed because one of the characters can smell that he's not the person that he's supposed to be pretending to be.
Right.
Weirdly. And so he just transforms back and says, yeah, no, I was sent here to be an assassin and I'm now not. You've shown me the error of my ways and I'm off to go adventure and be, find the same relationship that you guys have. And then gets killed immediately after by the bad guys.
Oh my god.
Yeah. So then the next guy, this is where it gets absolutely fucking stupid. The next guy goes to infiltrate the city that he started in Series 1. And so he goes to join their Adventurers Guild. They're holding auditions to become a member of the Adventurers Guild. And he manages to be ideal for all of them. This weird group of adventurers, like Gussel, the man of muscles, and the sadist, all of these guys, he manages to charm them all. And when he succeeds and becomes a group, they parody the end of the original Evangelion, with everybody standing around in blue sky going, clapping, going, congratulations, and he thanks, Yes. They even take a whole episode off for a stupid fake thing of trying to solve a murder mystery among the guild, where it looks like this guy killed one of the members. But no, the guy slipped and fell on one of his things, and it was all just a parody to gain some kind of trust in the group. And this guy ends up fighting with the muscle man because he's also a muscle man, and the power of their muscular friendship turns him to the good side as well. The main character... Okay, slap the spoilers on.
Okay.
The main character legitimately dies with one of his friends, and to come back to life, the being that sent them to this other world in the first place puts him through a couple of like Takeshi's Castle style of challenges, where he has to ride a jet ski through the correct answer to a yes or to a question of a true or false question. This girl fell in love with you at first sight, true or false. And he has to not only remember who this girl is, but he has to then ride a jet ski through a giant panel. And then in the early episodes, Zeno, you watched it. They had these members of the guild that were a really bad parody of gay people, and wanted to convert him to their ways by means of having fun with him out back.
I vaguely remember that, yeah.
In the world of the dead, we find that guy's original ancestor, who is exactly the same as them, but to the max. And the way to get past him is to engage in a game where they do the Kancho prank on each other in a maze. He has to try and evade them. And he eventually makes it back to the world of the living from that. The whole thing concludes with a fight against a guy who has the power of actual death. Like true death, no reincarnation, anything else. But in order to beat him, Seiichi just evolves into the avatar of love. He becomes a Bishoujo protagonist, and all his stats become love, and he throws love balls against the death balls, and everybody that died came back to life.
Sounds good to me.
It's just the most over-the-top stupid thing. And I laughed so fucking hard at the scene of him transforming to his true evolution. The reason there is a true evolution is because the fruits of evolution are actually the seeds of the evil god that challenged the other gods to try and change the world and was defeated and locked away, and he left the fruits of evolution so that anybody who ate enough of them would become an avatar of the dark god. That was the whole thing it was building up to, but instead of that, he triggered the evolution to become love. And everything, it just...
I love
Oh my god, this is... Yes! Yes!
No.
So the guy's chucking balls of true death at him, and he's just going, love, 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 and chucking balls of love back. Yeah, it is Saria dying, and he becomes love because of her, and to counter death, only love could... it's...
In the most beautiful ways.
Yes, it is so bad and so funny, and I'm so glad I watched this. I'm so glad we're finishing up on it. You can knock the spoiler tab off now. But this whole thing is just the purest of stupidity, and I love it for what it does. They round out the plot, they round out the character growth, they give all these people an actual purpose and meaning, and yet at the same time we have parodies of the end of Evangelion and
Love Gods,
Takeshi's Castle, and becoming a Bishoujo prince. I don't know how to express what this show has done to me on a comedy level, and I'm not sure I ever want to see something like it again. But at the same time, I think I might rewatch this.
I'm just gonna say I don't know what this has done to me mentally. Just hearing
it, yeah.
I know. So it is nothing special as a series, but what it manages to achieve within that realm of nothing special has changed me.
My goodness.
I think my favorite thing is that if you actually look back on the series, Seiichi has never had a kiss from Saria in her human form, only in gorilla form.
Well, I feel
and
like
that doesn't change.
I feel like I've just had mental whiplash.
Yes.
So should we
let's finish this off.
Okay, right. So that is it for the main topic, and we're now going to go on to the supporter question.
Oh, do we not want to? Do we? I guess we don't really have enough time, do we? Yeah.
We're over. So.
Yeah.
Cool.
We'll do that next time, whenever next time is.
Right. Okay. So
on Dragon Ball Z. No, sorry.
Moving on to the supporter questions. Rule says, before I read out the supporter questions, I just want to thank you all for watching and or listening to our podcast. Please hit the thumbs up button and leave a comment if there's anything you'd like to say. We read them all. Or just leave a comment, period. Like, just say hi. Just say, your taste in anime is shit.
Say that you are atomic.
No,
yes.
Don't fucking...
Yes. What would happen if Sid Kagano ate a fruit of evolution?
How would he become the perfect Sid Kagano?
I'm just going to point out, right? I got traumatized earlier by someone saying that Eminence in Shadows was better than Mushoku Tensei. And I'm like, that is an insult. That's a declaration of war there.
I just want to talk. Who are those?
I don't want to hit you. I just want to talk.
I just want to talk.
I believe there was for more context to that question, but yeah.
No, there's nowhere near enough context you can give to justify that. Right. Anyway. So as Rule asks, do any of you use Rainmeter or some other desktop widget? I actually use Rainmeter.
I think Xeno tried to get me to use it for something. I can't remember what, and I just I couldn't.
Well, I use it so I can actually monitor what my network's doing.
Oh, it's a network.
That's why.
Well, no. It's
I was going to say I use AccuWeather.
No, so Rainmeter allows you to I've got a widget that mimics old Windows 7 widget, gadgets. It allows me to see what my processor's doing in full. It allows me to see what my RAM's doing, page file, what my top CPU, what applications are using my CPU network. I should be able to get it to check my graphics card as well, but
those are all lies.
Fuck that up. So I use Rainmeter. So do you guys use anything to monitor your PC?
In the past, I've used Glasswire for network, and I can't remember the name of it, but there's another PC monitor. I may still have it installed, but I don't remember the name of it at the moment. I don't use them regularly because I don't really need to, but when I feel like something's off, I'll pull them out.
Yeah,
closest I get is I use the... closest I ever use is the Corsair temperature monitor in the summer when it gets a little bit warmer, so I can turn the fans up when I need to. That's about it.
Right, so Nasuth is Atomic asks, have you ever looked at what's coming out? Have you even looked at what's coming out this season yet? The answer is yes. There is a few shows that I would like to check out. I don't know if you guys have anything you want to...
We were going to make a little section of this if we'd gone under time, but sadly we'll have to talk about that later.
Any honourable mentions?
Oh, there's the Studio IG one that I was looking at. Studio IG. This one, Heavenly Delusion. Looks really interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, for me, it was what seems to be the spiritual successor to the MILF Sakai, which is my one-hit kill sister. So I'm not sure where that's going to go, but it looks like it's going to be hilarious for that.
Well, aside from Gundam Witch from Mercury Season 2, there's actually the Ancient Magus Bride Season 2 is also started.
Yeah, I need to still watch the first season of that.
I didn't see that. Oh.
Yeah, it is. Yep.
So there you go. So there's some honorable mention. Everyone's favorite uncle asks, this week is a full season roundup. With the sheer amount of delays due to being to the COVID, could this explain why Xeno didn't get isekai'd while in Japan?
Nah.
Yes, and I made friends with Trigun.
Right. Isn't she a VTuber?
Yes.
What if Optimus Prime is actually Truck-kun? And every person that's died by Truck-kun has actually been killed by Optimus Prime.
Well, that would explain why every single one of them transforms and rolls out.
Yeah, there you go.
Anyway.
See?
Anyway. So, moving on to the comments from last week. Firstly, from the news. Zrugel says, I laughed at the bare arms joke. Thank you, Thaylien. No, don't encourage him. It is bad. As for the AI imitating voice actors, who have passed on?
Who have passed on? Yeah.
Right. I wonder if people felt the same way after Wax records were made.
Yeah, well, I think he means wax cylinders, but yeah.
Okay. Yeah, the recording of people's voices so that they could be heard. Yeah.
Okay. Not for voice actors, but for singers or artists. I realize with the AI, you can make them say or sing something new, but how different is something new from something new to you? Who's to say Joe Rogan wasn't playing Warhammer 40k? Joking with that.
The same people that say that Trump doesn't play Overwatch.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
I do see the point he's making, but I do feel it's a little bit different. I don't know.
So and now I'm surprised we didn't have more replies from the cast episode itself. Edward Paddock says, if you steal from one author or artist, it's plagiarism. If you steal from many, it's research.
I can't remember where that quote's from, but it is a famous quote. Yeah.
Okay. It is. Again, I just really want to reiterate.
Zrugel, what have you said?
I will read that in a second, right? I just want to point out, right? Just stealing is not plagiarism. Passing it off as your own work is.
Yep.
Right?
Yeah.
Just really want to hammer that one home, right? Okay. Droogle. Maybe Xeno would like some AI-assisted reading of those comments. Hey, give me some AI eyes to make my reading better. 100% down for it. I'm kind of excited for AI in anime because it'll give more to smaller teams. But I have no doubt that some larger companies will act like they can just churn out anime in a paint-by-numbers fashion that has no heart. Yep. I'm kind of interested in what, or if any of you would recommend to use for an AI art program. There's so many I can't seem to find one I like. Gotta be a free one.
Yeah,
considering you guys had so much to say during this episode, maybe it was good you only had 4 people, lol.
Yeah.
So
Midjourney's good, but you gotta pay for it now, essentially, don't you?
Not just that. Midjourney's not good, right?
Really?
Well, I mean,
no, fair enough.
The big thing about all of these AI art programs is you'll never get exactly what you want.
Yeah.
Right?
You'll only get good enough.
You know, no, not even that. I mean, I'd be surprised if you get good at all, right? Because, I mean, I was playing around with it for this mascot for Tiamat, and I went through. Nasuth, you've seen them. You've seen how many I've gone through, and now I finally have like a collation of stuff I can use. I basically formatted it into a document that I could give an artist and say, here you go. I like the horns from these estimates. I like the fracturing of the horns from these designs, concepts. I'm just going to call them concepts. I like the hairstyle from these. I like the colors from these. I like the combination of these. I like the scales from these. But like every single one, right, had more than one thing wrong with them, right? Especially when I said a dragon tail. Dear God, a dragon tail is not the same thing as a fucking ponytail. Stop putting a dragon's tail on the top of someone's head. For the love of God. It's a tail.
You could have said the tail of a dragon.
Oh, dude, seriously, it just suddenly turned people's shoulders into dragons as well. Like, if I said, like, you know the, oh God, I don't know how you pronounce it, Digitigrade?
Yes,
the sort of like hind legs, right. So I put those
when they've got the heel like further up the leg rather than flat like a human.
So the back legs of a dog or the back legs of a cat or and I put that in, and I'm not kidding. It would just render a pair of legs on the side. Right? No. On the character. Put them on the character, you stupid piece. I'm also fully on board for cybernetics. I'll throw that out.
Yeah. I think some guy on Twitter gave a very good answer to all of this AI art thing, which is, I can't believe that people are putting so much time into defending a way of not being an artist. And that's what really got it to me. It's a tool for making art, but it's not your art. It's like you've commissioned an artist to do it, or you've asked someone very nicely to do it,
and you've done it for the price of free, which is why you'll get absolute garbage in the
so it's still not your art. You haven't made it, so you've not done it, so you're not an artist. It's funny that. Anyway, let's move on. We'll go on for hours about that again.
Very briefly, Dolly Mini is pretty good, which you can get at Crayon. I believe it's CRAIYON, I think. And there are also some ones that you can download and train on your computer, but I haven't looked into those because it requires more setup. It's not just something you can plug and play. Anyway, shall we move on? Or do you have any other suggestions?
To everyone's favourite part of the show.
Right, so the memes. Right, so you can find more memes on twitter.com/Kanpai_cast. We should actually put like a thing here on the screen, like in the middle.
Yeah.
I don't know why I didn't think about that before now. We do memes daily. Hopefully 3, sometimes just 2. Sometimes we forget entirely. Sometimes the system breaks. Right, so, but all these memes come from various parts of Reddit, and
organically grown on Reddit. Chainsaw Dog, the cooler Chainsaw Dog. Yeah.
I forgot that thing had a chainsaw on it,
I love them both, though.
What? Oh my God.
When the AI can't tell what's a guitar. What is he talking about? There's no guitar in these images. I only see 2 men with their asses out.
Oh my God. I remember this.
Yep. Oh, so good. Modern Isekai producers explaining why they do the same show over and over with just one new element.
Yep, too true.
My last 2 brain cells fighting for 3rd place. Me.
Yeah.
Feel that way all the time. Me just trying to buy a house and start living my life. The average house price in the U.S. being $400,000.
Yeah.
You'll never achieve those goals. Yes.
Fuck off.
Could people with trash taste give really good recommendations by telling you what they hate? Sorry, that was a strange thing to ask. It actually wasn't, though. It's actually some good advice.
That's a logical one, yeah.
Hold on.
It's a double negative.
That weirdly works.
Yeah.
Weirdly.
Yeah.
Weirdly.
Right. Onward.
Click. Aw, you woke up. What? Huh? Maybe next time. As a manga dial out of context.
Oh my god.
Please, darkness, just land a hit. Don't worry, King. I'll protect you with my body.
Goodness.
Oh, I can't fit any more explosions in my schedule. Or can I?
Boy Union.
In laundry today, 3 mortals attempted to intimidate me. Unaware of my divine powers, I extended my hand and clicked my fingers, then asked them a simple question. Do you know the secrets of yoga fire? They are not sure why this changed their minds, but it did.
You notice
you.
this is
Thank
Andrew
you,
Tate,
God.
the very justly arrested Andrew Tate, but it's
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. That's beautiful.
Okay.
When someone asks who my favorite
fuck?
Nichijou character is,
I don't. Is that that's not a Nichijou character, right?
No.
no,
Yeah.
it's for
That's Monster Musume.
Nichijou. It's my life with my everyday life with Monster Girls,
Yeah.
which
I
is a
don't-
Nichijou.
why-
Yes,
Okay.
Nichijou is in the title, so it's another.
Oh, okay. Got it. Got it. Yep.
Oh, brilliant.
Goku. Oh, Goku. Didn't he do that when Goten was born too? I don't remember.
No, he died.
All of them.
Oh yeah, that's right.
He went
dead.
straight on somebody's planet, like King Kai's planet or anything else.
Don't raise my kid. Right, okay, so my first one. I no longer have anyone important to me. They're already dead. Yeah.
That looks so good on him, though.
It did.
Mike Guy's
it did.
haircut on that guy.
Yep. Frankie. Fortnite developers. Write that down! Write that down!
Yeah.
Sold 8 hours ago. Scroll down to see similar items. Reserved for Jesus Christ.
Well, oh, it's One Punch Man.
What?
Yeah, it's One Punch Man.
Why was there? What?
Jesus Christ bought One Punch Man.
Okay.
Why?
I don't.
I know. Jesus Christ gets it. He likes it. One Punch Man's great.
All right.
We hate anime. Anime is life.
Well, I can understand why they're wearing those shirts, because they can't see him.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. I mean, he's just staring right ahead. Like, he doesn't even know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Guy remembering that one compliment girl gave him years ago.
Aww.
Pride.
Truth.
I get
Truth.
it. And then, if you're a witch, where's your giant hat? I don't need one because I'm not compensating for anything.
Also, what is this camera angle? Fucking.
Nasuth, we watched it together.
I know.
That camera angle is comfortable and homey.
I know.
Yeah.
That camera angle is vastly necessary.
Yeah.
Oh,
But, yeah,
God.
There you go. That's it for the memes. That's it for this week's episode. Next week, we're going to be doing a game show episode.
Oh, shit, that's
which
right.
means
We
I-
are. Oh.
Yeah, I need to get my ass in gear. And anyway, thank you
You've
all.
got a 4-day weekend this weekend, so make the most of it.
I freaking wish. Anyway, right. So thank you all for watching / listening. And now it's time to bottoms up and Campfire.
Campfire.
My drink's already empty. I can't.